On February 9, there's a new moon in Aquarius. This is also the Lunar New Year, which actually officially happens on February 10, and the difference is because of the time difference. And this new moon is going to make a square to Uranus, which is the universe sending us yet another message that says that changes are happening. What does that mean for you? That's what we're going to talk about. Hi everyone, I'm Donna Stellhorn, your practical astrologer, and today we are talking about the new moon. It's on February 9, it's at 20 degrees of Aquarius. We're going to do a short overview and then we're going to go sign by sign. Happy Lunar New Year. The Lunar New Year marks the change of the Chinese zodiac signs, and this always occurs on the new moon in Aquarius. Now, this falls officially on February 10, but here in California, the new moon is going to happen on February 9, but we celebrate Lunar New Year on February 10 this year. So this is the big reset button. You know, we think of January 1st as being the beginning, and a lot of people reset on that day, but that day is actually Capricorn, and Capricorn is about the past and holding on to tradition and, you know, kind of doing things in a way that has been done before. But now it's Aquarius time, and this is the new moon in Aquarius. And so Lunar New Year really marks the beginning, the time where you can do something different or differently. And so besides the sun and moon in Aquarius, we also have Mercury in Aquarius, and Pluto has gone into Aquarius as of January 20th. Now, also, Venus and Mars are going to get there. Venus will be there on February 16, and Mars is going to beat Venus there on February 12. So while the moon will no longer be in Aquarius at that point, basically by February 16, we're going to have 5 planets in Aquarius. That's 50% of the chart. So what does that feel like? That kind of feels like living at the base of the volcano. Like the volcano may be dormant, but it's still a volcano, and that means it could come alive at any point. And so there is a level of things in your life that are just out of your control. And so when you live at the base of a volcano, the best thing to do is to prepare in some way in case you need to move away from the base of the volcano. And so that would be to have a certain amount of mobility, flexibility, and versatility in your life. Now, some of these transits with Aquarius, you've been through many times. Venus is in Aquarius almost every year, and Mercury is there every year, the Sun is there every year, Mars is there every 2 years. So that's 40% of our Aquarian aspects that you are very used to. And so you've already learned a lot of flexibility and mobility in your life. You've learned new skills, you've probably moved at some point in your life, relationships have changed. Certainly the amount of skills that you have has changed. You are growing in skills all the time. And then your interest in astrology shows that you are looking at the trends that are happening. You're looking at what the future holds. You are studying the GPS that is your astrology chart that says what's ahead, and that will give you the heads up in case there starts to be some rumbling in that volcano. So change is happening. Pluto is now in Aquarius, where it's going to stay for 20 years, bringing us lots and lots of change. Now, that doesn't mean that change will happen everywhere all at once. Changes will happen in different areas. And so if you start to see things shifting in a direction that you don't like, then it's up to you to consider how to adjust, either to move away from that or how to adjust to capitalize on the change. And that can be anything from how your job is doing and how your industry is doing. What changes do you see coming, in the future because of technology, population shifts, climate change, all of these different things? Or how about your relationships? Are you finding that you need a wider circle of friends, that some of your friends are moving away, that you're losing touch with some people? And so maybe the effort to build your tribe, to build your connections is necessary now. And then also, where you live, looking at opportunities to live elsewhere if necessary, or how can you adjust where you do live to make yourself lava-proof. So this particular new moon is making a square to Uranus in Taurus. Uranus in Taurus is a kind of a paradoxical sort of energy. Uranus went into Taurus on May 15th, 2018. And Uranus is about change, and Taurus is about things that don't change. This is new moon energy. So this energy is about 2 weeks. It doesn't mean that everything changes over this 2 weeks, but it could mean that there is that little bleep on the meter, just enough to get you thinking about what could change in the future. So Uranus is going to be in Taurus till about April 2026. It's going to go out into Gemini for a little bit here and there, but basically it's going to be in Taurus until April 2026. And as it gets deeper and deeper into Taurus, it gives us the idea that more and more that the change that we keep expecting to happen is not going to happen. But it is. But it is going to happen. It's going to find its way through your chart, and something will change. And so the thing to do, of course, is if you are mobile and flexible and versatile and adaptable and acquiring new skills, then you're using up all of that energy. If you're becoming the volcanologist, you don't have to worry about the volcano. And that's where the year of the dragon, wood dragon specifically, comes in, because wood is all about growth. It's all about learning new things and expanding your knowledge, your skills, the number of people that you know, your bank account, all types of things like that. And then dragon energy, dragon is magical and big. And so it says that, things are going to be really exciting this year. We're going to have so many opportunities. So in this video, we are doing tropical Western astrology. It's a good idea to listen to your rising sign, because that's going to give you the most accurate predictions. If you don't know your rising sign, I can send you a copy of your chart. There's a link in the description. If you would like to know more about what's happening for you in 2024, I do readings. There is a link for my readings and my schedule in the description. And also, I have a new video course. It's called Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart. This course is ideal for people who are starting to learn some astrology. Maybe you do know your ascendant. Maybe you can find things like your second house. You know what Jupiter looks like. So this course is step by step. It's a lot of information on how to find the money, where the best sources are, where the blocks are, where your opportunities are. And so there's a link to the course in the description. I hope you check that out. Okay, let's go sign by sign. Okay, Aries, you're doing this new moon in your house of friends, community, and organizations. And so that's one of the things to really work on over the next 2 weeks, is to expand your circle of friends, to maybe go in and join an organization. Maybe it's a professional organization or a hobby group. Maybe get involved in community things that are going on. What are the community activities that are happening? Maybe to beautify the neighborhood or to make trails happen. Of course, it's January, so and there's only a few places where maybe there's not enough snow and all that where you can make trails. But it is to be part of the community, but most importantly, looking at making friends and connecting with people. This is also the area of technology. And so that is getting up to speed in technology where you need it. It's not necessary to learn all technology, because that would be overwhelming. That would be like saying you're going to memorize a dictionary. But there are certain things that you might use in your industry or in something that you do for fun that you want to get up to speed in technology. This is a really good time for doing that. So, and then this is also about the future and looking at where you want to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And I know that in a world where we do feel like we're sitting at the base of a volcano, how can we do that? We can still say, this is what I want, universe. This, send that message to the universe. And then you can move towards that direction. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, you have a really good chart this time, because even though it's just a semi-sextile between Mars and the Sun, there's so much in your house of friendship. So this could mean that a friendship is turning into a love relationship, or that you're going to meet someone in a social situation for a love relationship. So this is a really good time to go out and meet new people, especially the friends of your friends, or allow your friends to fix you up. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, I also have good news for you, because Venus is making a conjunction with Mars. And this is where the two of you are coming together and having a stronger connection. But you're also, it looks like, both willing to step it up a little bit in this relationship, that you're raising the bar, that you are setting higher standards for yourselves. And what's happening is that you're both benefiting from that. So together, whatever you're working on, whether that's the relationship or some external project, it looks like you're bringing your all to the table, and that's really helping. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Venus, which is right at the top of your chart, your house of career, reputation, social standing. So right now, you are more visible. And this means that as you send out your resume or send out social media, you're going to find more of the people that you need to connect with. So this is a good time to be looking for a new job or to be expanding your business. So focus outward right now. Instead of working on back office stuff or, meditating on it, this is a time to reach out to people and to be seen. Now, when it comes to money from business or investments, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, it is conjunct that Mars. And so that does say that there are opportunities to make more money than usual in these areas. So this may be something where you're taking some profits or you do see some real buy. But again, I think expanding your business or your side business, that has real possibilities right now. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, you're doing some of the best energy you've done in a long time. Venus is making a trine to Uranus, and that house has the new moon in it. It also now has Mercury and Pluto. It's soon going to have Venus and Mars. So you have a ton of energy right now towards either making more money at your current job or negotiating for a higher salary as you're changing jobs. So this is the time to talk to someone about that, whether that's the hiring manager or your supervisor, and be ready to, say, this is what I'm bringing to the table, this is what I've done already, so that you could negotiate for that higher salary. Okay, Taurus, you're doing this Aquarius new moon right at the top of your chart. That's the most noticeable place, and that is very good for your reputation, your social standing, also your career. And these are the areas to focus on, especially for the next 2 weeks, is to start by looking at your career, look at the industry trends, and see if you think that this industry is going to be there in its current form in a few years. And for some industries, that's going to happen, that new technology is not really going to disrupt it that much. If you're in an industry that could get disrupted, how can you then align yourself with these changes? But this is also about integrity and branding and social standing and how you are seen in the world. And so this may be a time where you're launching your YouTube channel, your podcast, your blog. This might be a time to look at your profile on a professional website like LinkedIn and see if you can make it more robust, see if you can bring it up to date. This is also about your personal brand or your personal ideas about, how you approach everything in your life. That might be, that you always show up on time. You're always doing this great job, which I know you do. So, because, Taurus. So you have all of this, but you need to let others know, and you need to demonstrate it, and maybe at times put your name on things. Sometimes I do notice that Taurus holds back, waiting for someone else to acknowledge them, rather than saying, yeah, I finished this project. We finished on time. We finished under budget. Tell people your accomplishments. So this is what to be working on over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mercury is not making an aspect to Venus, everything is so elevated in your chart right now. You are so noticeable. And so others are seeing you. So put yourself in situations where you can meet a lot of people and let somebody come to you. Go to the center of the room, plant yourself there, and see who approaches you. See who starts a conversation with you. There could be a love relationship in that. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, it's making a conjunction to Mars. And that means the two of you are coming together for a specific purpose. And that can bring a lot of harmony, because it looks like you're doing things in a way that supports each other and in a way that's similar to each other. And so whether that is planning for a trip, or maybe doing some DIY stuff at home, or maybe you're buying a house or signing a contract for some reason, like it looks like you're on the same page, especially during this time. And so if you want to get a project started, this is a perfect time to do it. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Mercury, which is at the top of your chart in that house of career. That says that career, whatever you do, could be a big source for money. That means expanding your business, getting a better position at work. This means you have opportunities, especially if you want to change jobs right now. That is very strong. And so as you put yourself out there, whatever you're doing to brand, to market yourself, that can be very, very positive right now. So give it a push over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money from business or money from your investments, Jupiter is making a square to Mercury. That means that there's a lot of action that's needed. So you have to be very active with your business and with your investments, and that's where the profits are. It is likely you're going to make more over this next 2 weeks, but there are things you have to do. That means you have to send the response to the customer, ship out the products, or go find those investments. But if you work on that, you can really see some good gains over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. So you have an aspect. That's good. That's very important. But it does show that you're a little hesitant about doing it. There's some friction about that. And so that might mean that you're not sure what to ask for, or maybe there are some layoffs going on and you don't think this is a good time, or maybe you're just so happy that they're saying yes to hire you that you are not wanting to ask for more. But if you can think this through, just stop and say, all right, how do I smooth out this friction? And that can be by knowing what to say, planning it out, having some sort of script, getting all of your either credentials. I was more thinking of your accomplishments, getting those all together so you can rattle those off to remind the person that you're talking to that you are worthy of more money. So it's not the easiest of aspect, but it is an aspect, and it does say, therefore, you could make more money in your job over the next 2 weeks. Okay, Gemini, you're doing this new moon energy in that area of education and knowledge, wisdom, and acquiring more skills. And so this is very much a time where you want to be learning something new, and you want to find the best methods of learning. How can you study more efficiently? How can you get the information to get sticky in your brain so that you really can keep it, that you can use it? And that might mean that you do better not just reading the book, but also listening to the book while you read it. Or perhaps you need to see a video, or perhaps you need to be hands-on. And to look at those things in a more practical sense rather than in a judgmental sense. This is also about your personal philosophy is, like how do you describe the world? Do you see the world as a benefic place where there are this unlimited opportunities? Or is it feel like everything's getting too scary and so you are pulling back, and worse, because you're seeing everything as scary, the universe has no choice but to give you more scary. So this is a time to shift your philosophy about how you see how things work in the world. And then, of course, this is also about travel and, thinking about going places, maybe planning future trips and looking at all the different possible destinations that you could do. So there are some really interesting things that can happen when you start to look at that over the long term and say, all right, where do I want to go in a year from now? Where do I want to go in 2 years from now? And start picking out some wonderful trips for yourself. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury is not making an aspect with Venus, but everything in the chart is so elevated right now. There are no planets below the horizon. That means that you are so visible right now. So go to places, whether you are trying to meet someone or not, and you are going to meet new people. They might become friends. They could become business colleagues, but you could also find someone for a love relationship. This is a time to go and be noticeable. Wear bright colors, smile at people, start up conversations with strangers. You're going to find that you make some amazing connections, especially over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making a square to Jupiter. And that means there is something that the two of you are about to work out. And you need to work this out, and you can work this out. And it's very wise to go in with the idea of trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes. And as you do, you will be able to work this out much more easily and permanently, which would be really great, right? So think of the thing that's bothering you, look at it from the other person's point of view, see if you can solve it yourself, and then if you can't, go to the other person and say, I need some solutions here. They may offer you solutions that you don't want to do, and then you can ask them to be in your shoes, and how could you do those solutions? You can work this out. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that moon, which is very elevated in your chart. It is in that area of education. And so it's saying, look at the skills that you feel that you're missing and go get those skills. This is all about, learning the new stuff. And there's so many different ways to learn these days. And there's so much information out there. Some of it is amazing. It's free, and it takes you through step by step. And some of it is done so nicely in these 1 minute little segments. So you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to figure it out. You can just go to that one video, that 1 minute, and figure that things out that way. So this is a time for you to look at the skills that you have and say, what are the skills that I need, and fill in those gaps. And I know 2 weeks is not long enough for some of those things, but this is the time to get started. I think I got off the track of money on that one, but this is all financially related. So the skills would be, like how to build a shopping cart, or how to build a website, how to go reach new customers, how to build a lead funnel, or what is it called? Sales funnel. So things like that, that's what the energy you're doing. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, you're making about the same as usual because the moon is not making an aspect with Saturn. The moon will line up with Saturn in the future, but over this next 2 weeks, you are basically working on things. If you're working on skills, that may mean that you're not out there making sales or not out there picking investments. But those skills are very necessary so that we can see the big rise later. So over the next 2 weeks, you're making about the same as usual. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the moon's making a semi-sextile to Mars. That means there is a small opportunity or an opportunity to make something small. And so that could be that, you get a gift card, or you get a tiny little bonus. You get, a little some extra sales, so you get some more commission, things like that. This is not the time to do some big presentation to your boss about you getting a raise. In fact, it probably be wise to just bump that meeting to later, so because this energy will line up better in the future. Okay, Cancer, you're doing this new moon energy in the area of first investments and passive income sources, business income, but also in power and control and, where you try to create some sort of sense of security in your life. And so starting with that is to look at what would bring you a sense of security. Maybe it's a certain amount of money in the bank, or it is a certain level of skills so that you could get a job most anywhere. And I often see people who want to have security, but they don't define what security would be. And I know that you might say to yourself, well, like I could get to $1 million, but maybe then I won't feel secure. But at least you would know that, like, okay, yeah, it wasn't $1 million, maybe I need $1.5 million, but at least you got to the million, right? But if you say, I have no idea how much money I would need to feel secure, then you don't focus on it, and that it makes it harder to grow those accounts. So this is some of it. But of course, this is the new moon where you want to try new things and you want to grow and expand. And so learning and working on the skills that are about making money, especially from passive income sources, as well as, learning yourself how to deal with things that are outside of your control. Where you have power. And so power comes from, one, having some sense of security, and two, having the choices that extra skills bring. So if you have skills that say you can get a job anywhere, then you've got power over your career. And so someone may say, oh, you're laid off, but you say, okay, but there's, 1,000 other places I can work. So that's the energy for this new moon, is to look deeply at these and, see what you can expand or grow, especially in the area of skills. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's not making an aspect with Pluto, though you do have a good house of relationships and even a good house of intimacy, if we wanted to go there. So I think this is more about, like, going back with somebody that you were starting to date. Maybe you saw them once and now they're coming back. And then it just opens up into a new direction where maybe you kind of thought they were okay, but now you're very interested, or vice versa, where they're very interested in you. So there is some things that could happen. I don't think they're a brand new person. I think that you might be connecting with someone that you have met in the past and maybe didn't connect with at that time. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's not making an aspect with Saturn. And again, you have a good relationship house. So I think the two of you are getting along. There's not too much that you're working on together. So if you're trying to move things forward with your business or your finances, your investments and stuff, it may be hard to get them on the same page right now, not because they don't want to be, but because their schedule is too tight, or maybe they're off doing something else. And so it's a little bit tough to get together to work on these things as a couple. But otherwise, the two of you seem to be getting along okay, and so things are moving along as usual. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from the sun, which is in that house of passive income sources, investments, and business income. And so this is very much about looking at what skills and what growth you need to do in this area, and doing as much as you can over the next 2 weeks. And those, like, even if you just got one new skill, like something in decision making, something in analysis, if you learned the piece of software that, gave you, this is the buy signal, this is the sell signal. I mean, that, if you spent 2 weeks on that concentrated energy, maybe an hour or two a day, you could really make some serious headway. So that's the energy that we're looking at for this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money from business or investments, the sun's making a square to Uranus. And that means, and of course, the house is full. It's got Pluto, Mercury, Sun, and Moon there. So you've got a ton of energy here that says you need to take action. And as you take action, you will make profits. So as you are doing things, look at especially the challenging stuff first. You know what they say, eat the frog, right? That means, do the hard thing first. I'm not advocating frog eating, but it's that if you do the challenging thing first, then everything gets a little bit easier. So this is, as you take action, then you could get some really good wins in investing or in business income and make more money than usual over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, the sun's making a semi-sextile to Venus. So I feel like the energies here, it's kind of interesting. It's like they're very strong for getting the meeting and discussing, but then the results seem to be a little bit small. And so probably your best bet is, if you're getting some pushback about your raise or an increase in your commission or your territory or something that would bring you more money, look for some of the perks instead. A discount on insurance, or maybe more time spent at home doing remote work, that sort of thing. Look for something else that doesn't, actually cost the company so much money, and I think that you would get more that way. Okay, Leo, this new moon is in your house of relationships, partnerships, collaboration, mentors, teachers, everybody you meet, basically. And so it basically says go meet everybody. This is an opportunity to go meet new people and find new friends and find new connections, people who can help you, people you can learn from, people who can guide you, who can open doors for you. And so it's time to expand your circle of the people that you know. And so reach out, even if you're going to actually get together outside the 2 weeks. So this is just a time to be seen, to go to the parties, to go to the events, go to a conference, connect with people, especially those people that would be, somebody that you'd like to know. And so going to meetup groups and anything where you can meet a lot of people, that would be good at this time. The other part of this is, because this is so much about learning and growing, is to learn more about how to interact with people and, what brings them toward you, what causes them to wander off, what can you do, what's in your power to really magnify your charisma, and so that you can attract people more easily. And what can you do to give them what they need so that they feel safe and comfortable being around you? So these are some of the things that you could be working on. There's wonderful websites on charisma and body language and microexpressions and all of the things to help us understand what might be going on in people's heads. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though the sun's not making an aspect with Jupiter, that house of relationship is amazing. So right now, if you are out in the world, and you are thinking and telling the universe, I want to meet someone for a love relationship, you have a much better chance at this time. Now, you may do the first date outside this 2-week period because you're not doing the aspect. It's possible that they say, oh, I really want to go out with you, but I'm, on my way to Paris or something. Then you say, okay, that's okay. So be patient. But try to meet lots of people, and you could meet someone for a love relationship during this time. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the sun's making a square to Uranus. And when you have such a strong relationship house, it does mean there's something the two of you need to work out. There's something that might be bothering you, and it seems to be coming to a head right now. Now, because though the chart has nothing in Leo right now, everything is in well, not everything, but lots and lots of stuff is in Aquarius, which is the opposite sign. It's super important to put yourself in their shoes. It is to look at what they're doing, but as a mirror for, how are you doing the same thing to them? And so if you can look at it that way, you could solve this problem, bring the two of you closer together, and really strengthen the love relationship that you have. So, but this is very much about recognizing that it may not be them, it may be you. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from, guess what? That house of other people. And so more people you meet, the more money you make. And this is a really good time to do marketing, to tell people word of mouth, to go, talk to individuals, certainly to make sales calls and to hone your sales abilities. That would be really good during this time too. So basically, the more people you meet, the more money you make. So now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Mercury's making a semi-square to Neptune. And this means that there is a little bit of friction. There's something in the way of helping you make the money. And that might mean that there's just broken links on your website, or the funnel isn't getting people to you, or that the investment that you have, the fees are too high, and so it's sucking all the profits out. So there are some adjustments that you can make. And that said, because this is just a 2-week aspect, and because you're doing so much about connecting with others, I wouldn't spend a huge amount of time on this. I would really focus on meeting new people and solving some of those other problems later, because with a semi-square, you're going to find it's a very frustrating process to try to solve these things. And this energy will line up better in the future. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, Mercury's making that square to Jupiter. Jupiter's right at the top of your chart in that area of career. So there is really a lot of energy here of, if you are wanting a raise, you may have to go farther than your boss. You may have to actually go to another department or go to another job. And so considering that first, and maybe even reaching out to people you used to work for, where do they work now? Colleagues, like, have they moved on to a better circumstances or better company? So think about it in those terms. As you are asking for the raise, you may find that your boss is saying, okay, yes, you can have the raise, but I'm going to give you this huge amount of new responsibilities. And you have to decide whether that's something that you want. So, but I think you could get a raise, although the highest chance is through a job change over this next 2 weeks. Okay, Virgo, you're doing this new moon, lighting up your house of routines and habits, well-being, things that you do on a daily basis, plus work and coworkers. And so it's the ideal time to click on all those videos or articles that, give you, 7 new productivity hacks you've never done. Like tweaking your daily routines, shifting things to make the things that you don't like to do, maybe automate them in some way or delegate them to someone else who does want to do them. Looking at changing your schedule up so that you can get the things done that you want to get done, so that you have more time for relaxation or sleep. Maybe even prioritizing sleep so that you go to bed at the same time and you wake up really rested, which is such a game changer, I think. So looking at that, this is also about, learning and growing in your area of health. And so, looking at there's always new research, there's new ways of doing things, new ways of doing exercise, new ways to get nutrition into our bodies. And so growing in that way. This is about looking at the skills that you do, that you can maybe learn to cook, or that you have skills about exercise and so you can help others. So that's the changes. I know that was a lot for a 2-week period, but you're planting seeds here for doing that. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mercury's making a semi-sextile to Saturn. And Saturn's in your house of relationships, but Mercury is not quite yet. So over this next 2 weeks, there is some chance of meeting someone, especially if you work with them, or they're part of your gym, or you find them in the produce section of Whole Foods. Like, there's some energy here. It's not super strong. So it's probably best to focus your energy on taking care of you and finding a way to do your days differently. And this energy for relationships is going to line up quite strongly in the future. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. The energy of that is that there's a little bit of friction going on between the two of you. There's something grating on each other. And unfortunately, the solution is going to take a lot of grating and friction to get there. And so if you can just kind of think of something else and not let it escalate, not let it bother you so much, over this next 2 weeks, it may just solve itself. So, but if a confrontation is needed, recognize it's going to take a little bit of work to solve it, because neither of you are wanting to budge. And so it's kind of like you have to be dragged. And that's that grating sound. And so think about it in terms of, hey, can we put this off? Can we just talk about this in a couple weeks? That might solve everything by itself. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Venus, which is in that house of creativity. And it's talking about looking at how to apply creativity to the problem of making more money. Now, some of that could be that you are creating marketing materials, or you're designing your brand or your logo, or you are, designing the actual posts that are going to go out on social media. This could also be, though, that you're looking for a creative solution to things. To say, all right, I can't get the funding for this. How do I bootstrap it? Now, when it comes to income from business or from investments, Venus is conjunct Mars. And so there are some big opportunities for you, and you want to take action on them. And I don't think you can help take action on them because it's a conjunction, so action must happen. And so that means that your attention is going to be very strongly there, which makes sense with having all of that stuff in your area of work. So that means the opportunity's there and you can grab it. So I do think you could make more money over the next 2 weeks. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is making a semi-sextile, I had to check, to the moon. And that means there is a small opportunity to get a small amount of money. And so this isn't the time to really roll the dice on this. This is more that you could get a little perk, you could get a couple extra hours off, or maybe a tiny bonus, or a little card to go get a pizza. That is quite possible. But you want to save your big pitch for making more money until you are outside this 2-week period. Okay, Libra, you are doing this new moon and all of this new changeable energy in your area of risk-taking and creativity. And so this is about personal expression, about finding a way to express who you are out in the world. Now, this can come through very traditional means of creativity, or it can come through just how you speak to people, how you dress, how you interact. Now, this is also about risk-taking, about getting outside of your comfort zone, about recognizing that this whole experience that we're having in these bodies and all that is a time for us to experiment and to take risks. There's also the potential for love and romance and more interaction with children, because you're doing this highlighted energy, as well as just having some fun. And so this would be looking for new fun things to do, not just the things that you've done in the past. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, this is some of the best energy you've had in a long time. So first of all, Venus is making a trine to Uranus, as well as Pluto, Mercury, Sun, and Moon in that house. So this is the highlighted house for you. And that means that this is the time to go out and meet new people, allow somebody to fix you up on a date, consider talking to a matchmaker, joining an online service where they can fix you up with people, go to speed dating, go to any sort of events where you can meet somebody new. This is really good energy for making a great connection. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the energy is just as good. Venus is making a conjunction to Mars right at the base of your chart. And so this is about the two of you being aligned to one purpose. And maybe that is something to do with home and family. Maybe the two of you are very focused on getting a home or getting unpacked from a move. But this is also just about coming together and finding that common ground, remembering what brought you together, and really strengthening those parts of the relationship that are already good and making those so solid that when other things happen, they just bounce right off of you. So this is really good energy, especially for the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money both from that Pluto, which is now in Aquarius, and is looking at how you can make more money through technology and also expanding your presence in the community, as well as Mars, which is just, about to make that perfect conjunction with that Pluto. And so the Mars is about taking action, and the Pluto is about this big transformation. And so this is that you're on the way. And so continue to do the things that you're doing. It's so easy to get distracted, because in every business or every money-making venture, there's different times where it's just so boring, or maybe it just feels too difficult. And if you can just push through that, you're very close at achieving something that you've been trying to do for a long time. So this energy says keep pushing. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, it's conjunct Mars. And so we do have some very strong energy for making more money than usual from these sources. It does indicate that there's something going on with that you're either at the tail end of something that you're working on, or you need to finish something so you can begin the new thing that you're very excited about. And so there's kind of that transition, or this is the point where you have the offering, but maybe you have to work on the marketing or the announcement or how you're going to tell the world that this is available. Now, when it comes to money from career, so that would be like a paycheck, the sun's not making an aspect with Pluto. It is making a semi-sextile to Mars. So there is some energy here for perhaps getting a small raise, or maybe like a gift card, or somebody buys you a pizza or something like that. So it's there. It's probably not strong enough for, really pursuing this. This may just be some sort of perk that comes to you and you didn't even realize you were in this sales contest, but you win it anyway. So I think that something small could be a little bump up right now, but I do feel that generally your focus is elsewhere. Okay, Scorpio, you are doing this new moon right at the base of your chart. This is about home and family. This is about foundations. This is about where you live. And so you may be looking at this with a long-term perspective in mind, to say that perhaps that over this next 2 weeks, you're making the decision that this year or next year or in 5 years, you're going to move. And it doesn't matter so much when that's happening. It's more that you're making the decision now. This is also that something new is happening with your family. And so somebody else could be making a big decision or implementing some big decision now that does ripple through and affect your life. So the energy here, though, is to welcome change and to explore change. So this could also be about breaking free of a family pattern. And so that's something that you notice, that's prevalent in your family. Like, think about maybe how to do the opposite of that thing, or how to do something that's slightly different. Now, there could also be some changes in the family structure, and that might mean that somebody brings home a fiance, or a new baby is born, or that somebody is moving into your place or moving out of your place. And so there could be some changes in that area also. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, it's really interesting because even though you're doing that sextile between Neptune and Pluto, now it's an out of sign sextile. Plus, what you have is you're kind of hiding at home a little bit, that you don't seem to be getting out as much. Most of the planets are below the horizon. So to be seen, you have to make a little bit more of an effort. And even when you have a date, it's almost like there's a force field on the door kind of holding you back, making you feel like you don't want to go. And, sometimes we get a little bit, overwhelmed by these feelings and think that the feeling is telling us really, like we're reading the feeling as though it's the prediction of how things are going to be. But I mean, that feeling could be something that's generated just because you watch something negative on your phone, or that you had too much sugar or something like that. So recognize that you do have some energy here to connect with someone, but you have to get out of the house to do it. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, even though Venus is not making an aspect with Pluto, it is making a conjunction with Mars. And this is in your area of communication. So you have a real good opportunity to strengthen this relationship by agreeing on some of the terms that you use. There may be some differences in your language, even if you both speak English. You might define showing up on time as, 5 minutes on either side of the hour, and the other person thinks that it is exactly on time, and that 5 minutes after the hour is late. Like, if you can define terms, then you can have a better conversation. And I think that's what's happening over this next 2 weeks, is that you have this light bulb moment that says, oh, this is what they mean by that. And that way you like in a long-term argument, suddenly just disappears. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Jupiter, which is traveling now through your house of partnerships, connections, relationships, mentors, teachers. So the more people you meet, the more money you're going to make. And I'm going to keep saying that to you for a while. Now, this Jupiter is getting a square from Mercury, and Mercury's right at the base of your chart. And so this is like a little signal that maybe ask family members who are doing well financially, or even if if it's a family member who doesn't maybe know about your business, but they're making a suggestion anyway, instead of saying you don't know what you're talking about, say, okay, why do I keep hearing this? Why do they keep saying this? From their perspective, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? And there may be nothing, but by doing the exercise, then you could shift that conversation to something else. They might say, well, I'm just really scared about what you're doing, or I think that this would be a better method, even though I don't do that method. And so by stopping and analyzing what the message is, you could have a breakthrough. Now, when it comes to money from business or from investments, Jupiter is making a square to Mercury. And I was thinking, didn't we just talk about that? What we did. So that is that you do need to take some major action, and that can lead to quite a big payday over this 2-week period. So that major action might be billing a customer or following up with a customer, or maybe you're doing some marketing campaign. Maybe you are looking at all of your investments and seeing where profits should be taken. So this requires some activity and some energy, but you could make more money over the next 2 weeks. And then when it comes to money derived from career, so that's like a paycheck, you are doing that Mercury square Jupiter. And in this one, because we have the planet of communication interacting with the planet of knowledge, this is about really defining terms. Maybe the boss says you can have a pay raise later. Well, what does later mean? How much of a raise? Is there some sort of strings or things that are necessary for you to get that later to be sooner? So this is a time to open up those lines of communication and just talk in general about it, rather than doing some sort of demands or, thinking ultimatums in your head, but to say, okay, well, where do you really stand? Well, what do you think the block is to me getting a raise? And as you approach it that way, I think you'll get very valuable information. Okay, Sagittarius, you are doing this new moon energy in your house of communication, thinking process, as well as activities. And so when it comes to activities, this is a really good time to try something new, something physical, like playing the piano or indoor rock climbing, or something that requires some dexterity, hand-eye coordination, everything from sleight of hand magic to flipping pancakes with, in the air. So these sort of things, I think you could find that you find something that gives you a little exercise, is exciting to do, is interesting to do, and also kind of engages the whole you, mentally and physically. Now, this is also your area of communication, and so this says communicating in a new way. Maybe this is a new platform that you're using to put out your podcast or your videos. This may be that you are working on speaking another language, but it also could be really looking at the messages that you send and tweaking them so that perhaps you can simplify some of the language and maybe cut down and some of the back and forth, or where you can point out the different things that you're unclear about with their communication, and then together you could end up communicating better. And of course, finally, this is about how you communicate with yourself. And there's a lot of people who do feel that berating themselves and pushing themselves and punishing themselves is a good way to motivate, but it really doesn't work so much on the long term. In the short term, maybe it does, but in the long term, if you really want to have some success, you're going to do better with encouragement and with supporting yourself from a mental standpoint. And so this is an opportunity, maybe just for the next 2 weeks, of being really positive with yourself. And then if you don't see results, then you can go back to doing what you were doing. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Mars is not making an aspect with Jupiter, and every single planet right now is below the horizon, which means that you're not very visible. So this is a time to be working on yourself. This is a time to be at home and, play with the dog and stuff like that. If you find that, you're out looking for some, like a date, it might be that they're going to be out of town when you wanted to see them, or, your schedules just don't line up. It's quite possible you're not going to get together anyway over this 2-week period, so you may just want to wait. Besides some of the things that we were talking about before, with the mental shifts, making a mental shift could open up so many possibilities, because it's sometimes when we are in kind of a mental rut, it's like blinders on, and those blinders come off, and then you see, there's so many possibilities. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Jupiter's making a square to Mercury. And so there is some sort of action that's needed, some sort of communication that's going to happen. You can work things out. It would be really important to go in with an idea that you're looking for some sort of compromise. You're looking for a way to work together on this project or this thing that is about the neighbors or the siblings or your work schedule. It could be any of those. So, but look for a way to compromise, look for that common ground first. Otherwise, this could be kind of a contentious period over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Saturn, which is making a semi-sextile to Mercury. And so this is where you have some amazing ideas. You have these things that you could go do, but perhaps you were thinking that others are telling you it's not going to work or they're not being supportive. But in actuality, it's you that's telling yourself that in their voices. And so you are picking out the certain words that are matching what's in your head and finding when people say, I don't know, and you're emphasizing that and forgetting the times that they're saying, yes, this is going to work. You should move forward on this. This is a great idea. So this is what to focus on is, like, when you're hearing this kind of feedback, one, why does it matter what other people are, going to do or say, unless this is some super successful business owner telling you your idea is not going to work? I mean, then you might want to say, okay, what do you recommend? But the other is it just that what you're hearing out in the world is just an echo of your own fears? And then you can say, it's just me, and so I can move forward anyway. Now, when it comes to money derived from your business or from investments, the moon's not making an aspect with Saturn, so you're making about the same as usual. Again, there's so much here about working on the mental game, and And also perhaps, working on, like how your emails are responded to, what's your intro like on your podcast, things like that. Some of the more basic communication things, what is your lead capture like? Those things. But I think you're making about the same as usual in these areas. I think you're going to have some really good opportunities coming up. So you do want to work on that stuff, this back office stuff, so you can get that done. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Saturn. So there is an opportunity for some small gain. And that could be something to, like a little bonus or maybe a little bit of a bump up. Maybe this is something where you've won a prize and you get some sort of perk. So, but this doesn't look like it's the last one. This just looks like this is like a stepping stone to something better. And so if you are communicating with your boss about this or negotiating for an increase when you're changing jobs, this looks like it's kind of a stepping stone to something bigger. Okay, Capricorn, you're doing this new moon energy in your house of money, and that's also possessions and self-worth. So when it comes to money, this is looking at the whole money situation in a whole different way. This might mean that you need to let go of old habits, especially bad habits when it comes to your money. Maybe this is a time to really be the person who's studying and working towards really good money management. And that might be learning to do your own investing, being good about sticking to your budget, shifting your ideas that money is scarce out in the world to money is all around me. And so what are the opportunities? This might be a time where you go out on some AI platform like ChatGPT and say, give me 50 different ways to make money in 2024 and see what kind of ideas you can connect with. This is also about self-worth and a sense of deserving, and see if that needs to be shifted or changed. Do you need to look at it from a different perspective? Do you need to challenge a belief about it so that you can let go of anything that's limiting you in the finances area? Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, Venus is making a semi-sextile to Saturn. So there is an opportunity to meet someone. And what I think is there's something that, intrigues you about them, but maybe you're still a little bit hesitant, or maybe you're not quite out of your relationship yet. And so you meet someone and you think, oh, the timing's not quite right. So there's something that may be a little bit of a stumbling block. Actually, that's kind of a big stumbling block if you're still in a relationship. But this shows that it is getting better. The energy is getting better. So maybe you're attracting someone who you're kind of interested in, but you want someone you're really interested in. And so you're on the way towards that. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, the moon's not making an aspect with Saturn. And so it does feel like everything's just kind of going along as usual. Venus and Mars are in your own sign, and that's really nice. That's the sort of yin archetype with the yang archetype coming together with some harmony. And that is, like we want to be busy now and we want to rest, or we're going to take action, now we're going to receive. So that sort of energy looks like it's in a little bit more harmony right now. So I think things will go okay over the next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Uranus, which is making a square to that new moon, as well as the Saturn, which is making a semi-sextile to Mercury. You've got a very strong money house, but the two things that are showing up is, one, to take a risk, and that is, it doesn't have to be a big risk. We're not talking about jumping off of a building or something, but to extend yourself outside your comfort zone, which may be picking up the phone and asking for the sale, or, sending out something that you have made. And also, that Saturn is representing contracts or agreements. And so maybe that's, getting in there and working out what the contract's going to be, or signing a contract. So this is a time where you have some big money opportunities, but they're a smidge outside your comfort zone, which you can do. Now, when it comes to money derived from business or from investments, you have very, very strong energy here. The sun's making a square to Uranus. There could be a very big payday, very close. It does mean it needs some very focused action to make it happen. That means, calling the customer, sending the invoice, or, delivering the deliverables, that sort of thing. What the action is. If you don't know, ask yourself, ask your business partner, what are the actions that we need to take? Oftentimes it comes down to something super simple, where you might have a business and you're thinking, okay, I have to work on the back office and we should do some marketing and we should do, we should be on more platforms. But what you really need is just more sales. And that is just getting on the phone and selling what it is that you offer. So sometimes it's very direct like that, and this could lead to more money over this next 2 weeks. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, so that would be like a paycheck, even though Uranus is not making an aspect with Pluto, Mars is, and Saturn is. Mars is, but that doesn't matter. Saturn does matter. Saturn is making a semi-sextile to Pluto. And that is there's an opportunity to get something. It's not huge. It looks like more of a perk rather than actual money. And maybe that's a little bit more time off, or, free transportation, or you get a free lunch or something like that. So this is not necessarily the time to really make a big pitch for more money unless you're changing jobs. And then what you may get is some sort of stair step where they say, yes, we're going to give you a little bit more now, and then we're going to look at you again in 3 months or 6 months. So look for that sort of thing if you're negotiating that now. Otherwise, it looks like a little bit more money over the next 2 weeks. Okay, Aquarius, this is your new moon. And as I said in the opening, the new moon in Aquarius, it always marks the shift of the Chinese New Year. So that is, we get a new animal sign and element, well, sometimes an element. And so this is always a big deal. This is always your time. This is your time to do something new and different and innovative. And that's what Aquarius is about. It's about letting go of the past and, letting go of being stuck or in a rut or anything like that, and breaking free and going in an unexpected direction. And so you now have the Pluto, Mercury, Sun, and Moon all in your own sign, and soon it's going to be Venus and Mars as well. And so this is your time. You're extremely noticeable. You are, you're the star. You're in the spotlight. You can meet the people that you want to meet, but you can also push yourself forward for self-expression, to show people what you can do. So this is really a time for you to shine. And so if you've been waiting for that time, this is it. Now, this is the new moon time. And so that means that this is the beginning of it. So this is not the culmination. This isn't the party. This is where you announce to people, yes, I'm moving to Paris, or I am going to change jobs, or I am going to move. You don't have to do it within the 2-week period. You just need to say it's time for a change. I also want to mention that this can be a time, this 2-week period, where you meet some extraordinary people for friendships or collaborations. And so try to put yourself into situations where you're going to meet new people. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, even though Mercury's not making an aspect with Uranus, you're lit up. You are so noticeable right now. So what can happen in this situation is that somebody comes to you. So you go to the event, stand in the middle of the room, see who you attract. And even if you don't feel an instant connection, maybe still talk to them and see, why am I attracting this person? What's the energy connection between us? So I think that you could easily meet someone. Maybe you're not feeling like, oh, this is the romantic, person of my life. But if you stick with it, they could become that. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Uranus is making a square to the sun. And that means the two of you are coming together and you're either fighting for something as a couple. You are, like shoulder to shoulder going after something, or you're fighting with each other, which is not so good. And because you have such a strong presence in your house of identity, this is a time where you don't want to say, my identity doesn't allow for interaction with you, my partner. You have to say, how can we kind of adjust our sense of identity so that we can be a united front? So there's a really good opportunity here for the two of you to come together on something that you both believe in, whether that's changing jobs or buying a house or having kids or getting married, like doing something together like that, rather than saying, she's treating me like this or he's doing that to me, and that's not allowing my identity. That can bring that square energy to a battle. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from Neptune in your house of money, as well as Jupiter right at the base of your chart, which is getting a square from Mercury in your own sign of Aquarius. So all of this is you're getting messages, you are getting information that you need to build the foundation of whatever it is through your finances. And so that might mean that you stumble on a great app that is going to help you track your money, or you find some AI bot that will help you pick the stocks, or you just have a great idea for a business. And this is where you want to write this down and maybe even connect with family members and say, okay, I've got this. How can I tweak this? Or do I need to tweak it at all? Maybe it's good as an idea as it is. So looking at that square, what we see is an opportunity for this brilliant idea, and then you can run with it. Now, when it comes to money from business or investments, Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune. And this energy indicates that some persistence is needed, that you're going to feel irritated, that things are not exactly working as you were hoping, but that if you push through this irritation or you push through the boring part, then you can have success. So this is tough because there's a lot of planets in Aquarius, and Aquarius is like, I want to jump from this to this. It is going from making dinner to skydiving. It's just such a a surprising jump from one thing to another, and so that kind of feels somewhat different than persistence, and yet if you consider persistence could be attacking something from a lot of different angles, that's where you can jump still and get something done and be persistent about it. So that might mean looking at investments from different points of view. Look at it from the new investor, look at it from the day trader perspective, look at it from the Warren Buffett perspective, and do it from that and do the jumping that way. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, that would be like a paycheck, Jupiter's making a semi-square to Neptune. So you're still doing that semi-square energy. And that semi-square energy, again, says be persistent. That you are going to feel a little bit irritated, that things are taking a long time, that you're not being noticed, that your efforts are not being acknowledged, and which is surprising since you're doing such strong energy for being noticed. And so it may be that you have to tell them, and you have to tell them over and over and over again. So, but this says be persistent. That's the key. Okay, Pisces, you are doing all of this new moon energy and this excitement in your area of intuition and spiritual connection. And it's like some new doorway, some new plane of existence is opening up for you. And this might be that you have a breakthrough on some healing modality, or that you are hearing the messages from the universe just a little bit more clearly, that you are understanding some big philosophical concepts. It may be that you are shifting your spiritual practice or your meditation routine and having a breakthrough. This is also the last new moon before the Pisces new moon. And so this is basically the end of your lunar year. I almost said solar, but your lunar year. And so this is a time where you are letting go of things from your past. And so especially from the past 12 months, that would be letting go of hurts, letting go of pain, letting go of bad habits, letting go of addictions, letting go of the things that no longer serve you. It's perfect to do at this time. Now, when it comes to love relationships, specifically new love, the moon's making a semi-sextile to Neptune. And it's really interesting because you've got Venus and Mars in that house of friendships. And so that could be like a friend turns into a romantic partner. You also have quite a bit of planets going through that house of secret liaisons, so that maybe you are starting to see someone at work, but it's kind of frowned upon, and so you guys are being a little secretive about it. So, but we do have some really interesting energy here for a new love relationship for you. Now, when it comes to existing love relationships, Mercury is making a semi-square to Neptune, and this particular semi-square is one where it can feel like your partner is just irritating you on purpose. And so what you have to recognize, one, it's just an aspect. It's going to pass in 2 weeks. And the second is that when we get irritated by something, it's usually a message from the universe, and there's something that we're projecting that needs to shift, or there's some aspect of ourselves that we know we need to adjust. And so that's the kind of message that rather than engaging with your partner to tell them to stop doing it, look within and see what's going on with you that currently this behavior you find so irritating. Now, when it comes to your money, you're pulling money from that Mars, which actually is at a very late degree of Capricorn. It's almost into Aquarius. And so when something is this late and it's the ending planet, it means that now you're going to get things done. So whatever planning you've done, whatever preparations you've done, it's time to take real action. And so this is moving you out of the thinking time and time to do the doing part. And that's what's going to bring you more money. When it comes to money from business or from investments, you're doing some very good energy. Venus is making a conjunction to Mars. They're both in money houses. This is really strong energy for making more money over the next 2 weeks. And again, this says take action. And this is taking very high integrity action. They're both in Capricorn, and that means, do the best thing, do the right thing, give more, give so much value, give so much that the person feels silly saying no to the offer. So that's like overdue at this point, and that's you'll be surprised how much you gain when you do that. Now, when it comes to money derived from career, and so that's like a paycheck, Venus and Mars are in that house, which is fantastic. Mars is making a semi-square to Saturn. That's not so great. So and what that means is that you may be very irritated by the process right now of asking for a raise, or how your boss reacts to it, or how they keep putting you off for the meeting, but you really could get the raise. And so if you can push through that, if you can be persistent, if you can, and gentle persistence, not, aggressive persistence, but if you can do that, but it's going to feel like this is just, the boss is irritating you on purpose. And it's just this energy. And this energy will line up better in the future. So if you don't want to deal with this energy, then just put it off. But you do have a chance to make more money from, something going on with your paycheck over the next 2 weeks. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out my video course, Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart. If you have any sort of interest in learning some astrology, about diving deeper into your chart, especially from a financial standpoint of how to bring in more money, what's blocking you from more money, different sources of money, check out the video course. It's Finding the Hidden Money in Your Chart. There's a link in the description, and I will see you in the next video.